With all this talk of the Disney merger and acquisition of Fox lately, I find it interesting how one of the integral events of the Alien series is a merger of two corporations, Weyland Industries and the Yutani Corporation. Once merged together, they became the insidiously powerful Weyland-Yutani Corporation, building better worlds according to their PR department, but ruthlessly pursuing alien specimens for their bioweapons division behind the scenes. Project Prometheus was an undertaking of Weyland Industries alone, it would seem, at least as it was depicted in Prometheus, with the merger taking place between movies, and Alien Covenant depicting the Covenant mission as under the control of Weyland-Yutani. Though the details of the merger have never been included in any of the movies, there has always been the concept that Weyland and Yutani, though each big, powerful companies in their own rights, came to benefit from each other, and finally reached a nearly unstoppable level of influence once merged. But what exactly was their relationship prior to the merger? Alien Covenant Origins, Alan Dean Foster's original novel that fills in many gaps between Prometheus and Covenant, and even for the first time in the extended universe gives us some insight into the actual merger, doesn't really go into too much detail about the company's relationship with each other before Weyland's death and the finalizing of the merger. Were they bitter rivals? Did they share a mutual professional respect for each other? And did Yutani actually play a bigger part in the Prometheus mission than given credit for? The official story is that Project Prometheus was purely Weyland Industries' endeavor. The Weyland-Yutani report corroborates this, touting the innovation and leadership of Sir Peter, as it is known to do. Of Project Prometheus, it outlines the following. In March of 2089, Drs. Elizabeth Shaw and Charlie Holloway approached Sir Peter Weyland with an incredible theory regarding the origin of man. They believed that they had discovered an ancient invitation calling man to a specific location in space to his creators. This theory was based on extensive research into a series of ancient petroglyphs and cave paintings found all over planet Earth, each depicting a particular configuration of planet/planetoids with a giant humanoid pointing the arrangement out to smaller, worshipful humanoids. This exact configuration of spheres appeared in disparate societies over a span of centuries, strongly indicating a common source. The Doctors' theory was that these engineers of humanity were operating from the location that the star map depicted in dozens of these presentations. Disregarding recommendations from the company board, Sir Peter turned his considerable resources toward proving Shaun Holloway's hypothesis. Uncovering a correlating star map in the Zeta II Reticuli system, he began building a craft that would become the United States commercial starship Prometheus within days of the discovery. The report paints Weyland as deeply enthusiastic about Shaun Holloway's pursuit to find the engineers of humanity, but other accoutrements of the film suggest this isn't the entire story, and that the Yutani Corporation played at least some part in getting the mission off the ground. The Prometheus Blu-ray features a supplemental section titled The Peter Weyland Files, which, in addition to the now infamous, slightly worded Easter egg that hints at Alien and Blade Runner being in a shared universe, also contains material that alludes to Yutani's involvement with Project Prometheus. The file titled Elizabeth Shaw, Quiet Eye shows us a correspondence which we can now assume is between Sir Peter and Hideo Yutani, alongside Weyland Security and many other recipients, in which Weyland shares his thoughts on Shaw's eagerness to have Weyland Industries fund her and Holloway's exploration of this invitation from the engineers. Attached to the file is a transmission of Shaw's proposal, complete with Yutani Corporation watermarks. It would seem that Yutani had developed comprehensive polygraph technology and that possibly Shaw was a referral, with the recognition, testing, and report of these findings accompanied as a sign of good faith, so to speak, to let Weyland know that this was a legitimate lead and could be worth his time and finances. Sir Peter's response to Yutani, dictated but not read, reveals the following. Naive. That's my take on Dr. Elizabeth Shaw. And furthermore, Yutani's report on Shaw was wholly unnecessary. Any blind man can see that Shaw is a true believer. I must say that I find her zeal somewhat refreshing, if a bit misguided, given what I know. Nevertheless, I have chosen to fund her proposal. Dr. Shaw and Dr. Holloway's findings on the evidence they've uncovered are only mildly interesting to me, and yet, after all these years, they have indeed pointed us in the right direction. But I have no intention of spending my remaining days by wasting $1 trillion on a mission to a star system 39 light-years away based solely on a leap of faith by a wide-eyed, God-fearing archaeologist. As fate would have it, Shaw and Holloway's interest in Zeta II Reticuli has proven to be mutually beneficial. While the good doctors rely on ancient carvings and primitive cave paintings, my science division's own long-range scans have recently detected a faint, almost imperceptible signal emanating from one of the lesser moons in that system. And contrary to the findings of Shaw and Holloway, which target LV-223 as our primary site of interest, our findings suggest the point of origin could actually be the moon LV-426. Per standard procedure, we will embed a David 8 unit with the crew, and he will be programmed with multiple contingency plans to address and exploit whatever assets we secure on 223. But only David will know about 426, and will ensure that the rest of the crew, including Meredith, learn nothing about the transmission we've recently discovered until the time is right. For if Yutani's new ECIU software is to be trusted, there might be great risk awaiting us on the path to an even greater reward. If we were to take this message at face value, then we could take away that Weyland wasn't exactly enthused at the prospect of finding the creators of humanity, although his conversation with David at the beginning of Covenant may contradict this take, but he was more concerned with the transmission from LV-426. Likely it would seem the same beacon picked up on by the crew of the Nostromo as the events of Alien unfold. This would mean Project Prometheus was meant to be almost a facade, putting on an admirable, easily digestible PR face on the mission while other ulterior motives were in place. It would also mean that Weyland Industries had a good enough relationship with the Yutani Corporation prior to the merger that such highly sensitive information could be shared with them, and that Weyland's secrets did not die with him on LV-223, leaving the newly emerging Weyland Yutani to pick up where he left off. Seeing as this is a home video special feature, it of course can be taken with a grain of salt, not to mention other pre-merger depictions of the companies we've seen from the Alien vs. Predator movies. While Fox Studios never really made a sweeping statement about whether or not AVP can be considered canon, if we can take Ridley Scott's attitude towards them, then they certainly are not. The first Alien vs. Predator film also shows the Weyland Company's earlier days with a completely different founder in Charles Bishop Weyland. There's no intended connection between AVP and Prometheus, though timeline-wise they don't necessarily contradict each other, and they could possibly connect in some way depending on your own personal interpretation, as I've explored previously on the channel. It's also worth noting that the second AVP film, Requiem, actually shows us a little of Yutani's involvement with the Miss Yutani character coming into possession of Yautja weaponry. It's worth noting, though maybe not worth meditating on too much, but again, the general concept is sound when it comes to the events leading to the combination of these two industry giants. We learn of amazing breakthroughs led by Weyland Industries, advanced satellite technologies, artificial intelligence, but nothing much about weapons, which leaves a gap when it comes to the bioweapons division, and its unflinching desire for xenomorph specimens in the films to follow. I guess that's where Yutani comes in. Presumably their focus is weapons, and acquiring Yautja technology, likely flourishing from what they learned from the Predator's weaponry. Separately, Weyland and Yutani are massive successes, but together, as Weyland Yutani, they practically run the universe, with a smiling, comforting face on the surface of it all. As deeply flawed as the AVP movies are, I have actually heard from quite a few Alien fans that accept and prefer the pre-Alien canon of AVP 1 and 2 over what Scott has presented in Prometheus and Covenant. It's fair enough, I guess, and personally I actually think it's kind of nice that with the world of Alien we almost have this pick-and-choose level of continuity, at least for now. Do you think once, or if, Disney makes any moves with the Alien series, will they officiate any kind of definition as to what is and isn't canon with the films and the extended universe? Similar to what they did with Star Wars, where there's their official canon and all else remains legend. If that would end up being the case, what would you like to see preserved in Alien's continuity? Do you think the slate should be wiped clean? Comment below and let me know. And if you're interested in seeing more on the Yutani merger and Charles Bishop Weyland, please see the links provided on the end screen or description below to videos exploring these topics. And as always, I'd like to thank you very much for watching today. I really appreciate it, and if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like, and you can also subscribe for all the latest videos from Alien Theory. A company is only as good as those who run it, so my very special thanks as always goes out to Weyland Yutani executives, EmYarUk, and Lady Anne, part of the Patreon Hive. If you'd like to join the Hive and support the channel, check out my Patreon page for exclusive posts and contests. In the meantime, you can catch up with Alien Theory over social media, follow @alien_theory on Twitter and @alientheoryyt on Facebook and Instagram for more. And until next time, this is Alien Theory, signing off.